What's up everyone? Chef Dave back with another cooking video. And today we're going to talk turkey. It is Thanksgiving and we are gearing up in the Santos household to get our turkey on. And this year we were doing 2 turkeys. The one I'm going to cover is the smoked turkey that we like to do, which we do out here in this old setup. This thing's been in the family for 30 years or so now. Old cast iron grill. Thing is in amazing shape and it is still going strong. So what we're going to do, this is kind of a combination styles of Texas and like Carolina. We are going to do the offset method. We're going to build a small fire on this side, have the turkey on this side. It's pretty big. It's a big 18-pounder unstuffed. So it's going to take up a lot of room. We can't build too high of a heat or else obviously it'll burn. Skin's going to get dark anyway from the smoke, so that's fine. We're okay with that. But let's build our fire first thing, let it burn down a little bit, and then we'll put our turkey on. We'll bring you back. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is fall up some newspaper. I always like to use a fair amount of paper to start my fire. I just use the bundle method. I don't know if that's what it's called, but that's what I call it. Little tight ball on the internal and then just some flowing on the outside so that it catches fire but doesn't burn out too quickly. Some just simple twigs that we have from around that we collect from the 2 or 3 trees that we have in the yard. You can start with some small kindling that you cut, build up from there. You know, not putting them all in the same direction. We are creating airflow gaps in between the kindling. Throw 1 or 2 just larger pieces, and then we'll throw 2 larger pieces kind of crossed over each other like this. That should be plenty. Should have a good start here. Get our handy dandy quicker. I usually like to light it in like 2 spots. That's lit down there, and we got our fire going. So we'll just watch it, make sure it catches. This should start right up. You kind of smell the wood catching already. And just like that, we have fire. Now obviously we want to wait till the paper burns down to make sure that it's not just paper that's burning away. If you see back there, it's catching really well back there. So sometimes what I'll do with these twigs, now these are almost irrelevant. They burn so fast that they don't leave any embers behind. And the embers is what we want. But since they're burning so fast, I'll drop a couple pieces on there. Obviously be careful, you know, my hands are made of asbestos basically at this point in my life. I can literally put my hand in the fire without any real issues. You know, it gets hot, but I can withstand a lot more fire than the average human, as most chefs can at this point. Our hands are, like I said, a little asbestos-y. And we're gonna let this burn now until it kind of burns down. We'll slowly add another piece of wood later, but we don't want to build this massive fire, essentially. We want to build a kind of a burning down fire where we periodically add a little piece of wood and just to keep the heat going. And that's kind of the methodology behind this use. Now this is not, you know, a lot of people have an offset smoker, stuff like that. This is just a different kind of method that I've learned using this particular ancient cast iron grill. So as you can see, I haven't touched it at all. It's got a big burning fire in there. Everything's very well caught. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to balance this out a little bit. So with this little handy dandy made tool, I'm just going to slide some stuff up and knock this one down. So what we're going to do is, I like the fire built all the way to the left. I think that's the best place for it here. What we're going to do is put this way, like this. Okay, beautiful. Put that like that. And we're going to just build the fire all the way to the left here now. Again, just to add a little bit of different angles to it, we're going to add this one and put it that way. Let this burn for about 20 minutes or so. Let it kind of get those embers built. But we really kind of want a nice little bed of embers that we can continue to feed. So you have to start probably about 30 minutes, maybe even 40, depending on the heat, before you actually want to put your bird on. And we're going to leave this wide open so it gets as much oxygen in there as possible, so this actually burns down as fast as possible. So we'll let this burn down now and we'll bring it back. All right, here's our guest of honor. Very simply, this setup, take a steel or aluminum container. You want something with some weight to it, some gauge thickness. We cover it in foil. Entirely, top to bottom around, for ease of cleanup. And then there is a little rack in there to keep it off the bottom. And then basically this is just our 18-pound bird that's been brined. Simple 1 cup to 1 gallon of water brine solution. And then from there you can put whatever we want. We usually do, you can see some residuals, we do rosemary and thyme from the garden, garlic, bay leaf, a lemon or two, and we brine this for 48 hours in that liquid. Usually we do it in a cooler, in a garbage bag, with ice, around the garbage bag, and we keep it outside. It stays cold for 3 days essentially. The ice doesn't melt, especially here in Jersey where it's between 40 and 55 degrees outside right now. It's the perfect time to do this sort of thing. Obviously summer would be more problematic, but we have done it in the summer as well. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And now let's look at our fire. So our fire, you can see, is burning really well. We're going to slide these embers again all the way over. We're going to concentrate our flame, our heat source, all the way on the opposing side. We'll break it down a little bit like this. And basically what's left is you've got a bunch of coals way on the bottom. You have the remaining of the burning wood up top. But this top one is basically the only piece that really has a good amount of burn left in it. This little piece down here has obviously a decent amount, but it's mostly degraded down there. And the other piece is actually almost entirely gone, and is basically just embers now. And that's kind of what we want. And we have some more wood that we're going to add to it later on. The first part of this is actually the most crucial part. The first hour, basically. That's where all the smoke flavors coming through. That's where you're going to get that bit of that color. It's a little tricky. In this small contained unit, you really have to watch how much heat you have going on. I'll show you how we control the heat with airflow. Let's put this turkey on. Very simply, we're going to put our bird on. We want to face the dark meat towards the flames, because this is what takes the longest to cook. This is much faster, obviously, and we're gonna shift it farther back. Okay, I'm gonna center it and shift it, and we should be good there. We got a little anglage here. We don't want it to set up against the sides. We want it to close freely. We might have to put it back a little bit so that closes up front. And we're gonna check right now what the closure's like. Okay, we're in a good place. Scraping, it's just scraping right here, but you see there's no contact here. It's just scraping a little bit, so we'll push this forward just a tiny bit. You know what? Let's do a stick. Let's do the stick method to start. Pick a stick of the right thickness, and then we just close it just like that. And we have, might be hard to tell on the camera, but we have about an inch or so of openness. We're gonna let this go like this for probably about 5 minutes, just to check and see what the burn rate is, what the flow rate is. It too much, too little oxygen? You gotta watch it so that, one, you don't lose the fire and it goes off, and two, you don't feed the fire too much and then you end up with a burnt turkey. So we're gonna let this go for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna check and see what the progression looks like. All right, it's been about 10 minutes actually instead of 5, and let's take a look. All right, nice. already starting to get some tightening, nice browning. Nice browning. It all looks very good so far. Now our wood is almost gone. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this big piece of wood. It's a good dry piece of wood. Should burn pretty well. And we're going to add this now to the flames. And now that's all kind of embers down there at this point. So this should now cook kind of slow. We're gonna cook it uncovered for an hour, and then cover it up, and it's gonna cook for another hour to an hour and a half. Let's let this burn. Again, we'll do the same method. We'll keep it, I think that's a good starting point. We're gonna keep our eye on it to make sure that the fire doesn't build too high. So again, every time we add a piece of wood, we have to watch it a little bit more. Once it burns and settles in, you have a little bit more of a time gap to not worry about it. As soon as we added this fresh piece of wood, you can see the nice clean white smoke starts to go, getting nice smoke flavor, and then we will check it in probably another 10 minutes. Should all be good. So I just want to show you what I just did real quick. I thought I hit the record button and I didn't. So just quick recap of what I just did. So I rotated the bird. Just want to do this. Has been cooking for about 30-45 minutes now. So we're going to just start to get a little, darker here on the point, just because it's facing that way. Totally fine with, but I'm gonna just balance it out a little bit. So I just rotated this very quickly. It's gonna go for probably another 30 minutes or so. I rotated that piece of wood up, and I put a fresh one on top. Again, not to build too much more fire. I just kind of want to crawl up and continue the smoke and heat. And so this is gonna go for another 30 minutes, which then I think we're gonna wrap it. All right, let's check it out. We are about the 90-minute mark. We got some tools. Let's take a look. Oh yeah, that looks great. Beautiful, beautiful mahogany going. Now using this method, you're never gonna get a ton of color on the bottom wings there, which is fine. We're getting beautiful color here. Good fire still going. So we're gonna create a little bit more heat for the wrap. We're gonna add literally one more piece of wood right in the middle here, just to create a little bit more heat, okay? And we're gonna do that periodically until it's done, probably one every 15 to 20 minutes. We're gonna wrap this in foil now, and then we're gonna rotate it to put this facing the heat one more time. And it'll cook the rest of the way like that. Beautiful coloration there. Very simply, we're just gonna wrap this up in some nice foil. Make sure you got enough of it. So I usually start from one side, big piece, start on the other side. Good coverage. So this creates kind of this window here. And we're gonna take one more nice piece for the top. Again, make sure you know which side your legs are. Our legs are here. Beautifully wrapped. Nice and tight. Seal in those juices. We are going to put our turkey facing that way. Okay, again, making sure we have enough space around. We've got good heat going now. We might even turbocharge it with one more small piece, just to, now that we've had it open, we've lost a lot of heat. This retains quite a fair amount of heat, but it's, once it's open, it does lose the heat. So to bring our heat back, we'll pop this up. And again, hopefully in about, I'd say 90 minutes, it should be done. So for a total of about 3 hours. But, the heat will dictate that. If it hits a stall, we'll check it after an hour or so. Again, continually feeding the flames here. Every 15 to 20 minutes, we'll throw one more piece on, and then we'll go from there. All right, we'll bring it back. We're gonna close it like this. This time we're gonna use our metal here because I want the airflow to come closer from there, okay? And this will end up tilting backwards a little bit. okay? So we'll have a little bit more airflow here, closer to the heat, and then it'll slow down and close more here. So this way it kind of creates, it pushes this heat this way and creates a circular kind of motion, and then some escapes, some doesn't. We're not worried about smoke now. We have gotten all the smoke flavor we want out of this first stage. So the turkey is smoked with as much smoke as it, we really get. And we actually don't want it to be too smoky, then you're just eating smoke, which is kind of gross. So this will put us right where we want, hopefully 60 to 90 minutes, but we'll check the temperature after 60. All right. So we're at 2.5, almost 3 hours. So we're gonna check her out. I've added wood a couple times. I slid a couple of the burning coals underneath the turkey just to get a little more heat from the bottom. But all in all, I feel like we're in a pretty good place. But let's check the temp. Let's see where we're at, okay? Let me see if I can do this barehanded without ripping the foil up too much. Okay, I'm gonna take this piece off to protect it. Ooh, got a nice caramelization on the top. Let's see here. The unveiling, look at that. Wow. I hope you guys can see that, because that looks pretty dope. Take our thermometer, we're gonna plunge it right here, right in between, into the meat of the thigh. You wanna get in that meat because you wanna know what the temp is exactly. We're sitting at, so it's about 130. Yeah, about 130. So we still probably have another 45 minutes to go, because I was very light when I did it the first stage. So we're gonna wrap this back up. We're in a good place right now. Let's cover this up. I'll use this just a little protection for me. My hands are asbestos, but they're not that asbestos. I think in 45 minutes we're gonna be absolutely perfect. Fire's built pretty well, and we're gonna close it up. Check in about 10 minutes, make sure the fire's not too crazy. 45 minutes, I think, or so. This will be perfect. We'll rest it for about an hour, and we'll be good to go. All right, moment of truth here. So it's been about 40 minutes. Fire's been going nicely. So what I like to do is I like to cook this till about 155 and then let it rest. Now, traditionally speaking, you should let something rest for half the time that it took to cook it. I don't think it's quite that extreme when it comes to very large pieces of meat like a turkey, but I would say you do want to let it rest for about an hour before you actually cut it open. So hopefully in that hour we'll carry from 155 to 165, give or take. It'll carry that last bit of degrees that we want, so we don't have any blood in the joints or anything. But you really, I can't emphasize this enough, start your turkey soon enough so that you don't have to rush to cut it. Okay, very important, a rest time. Proper unveiling. Oh yeah, we are all set. Perfect. 155. I think we're in a good place. We're gonna let this rest now. And this is the full-on view. Boom, boom. Now I like to tent it. Since this is at just 155, 160, I'll let this rest untented. And there you have it, everyone. This is the traditional Santos family smoked turkey. Hope you can try this recipe at home. It's fairly simple, but really delicious. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Thanks, everyone.